Hey, what's going on? Justin here from Modern Mixing, and today I'm going to be talking about gain staging and Pro Tools. I already have a gain staging video that I've done about, well, over 2 years now, but since my process has changed a little bit, now that I'm in Pro Tools, I figured, I might as well show the process that I do here. But, it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing that's different is in Sonar, they already had like a built-in trim function. In Pro Tools, you kind of have to add plugins to do the same job, and also I'm using a little bit more headroom now than I used to. That's just because of the plugin that I use for doing most of my gain staging. It's just designed to leave more headroom, so that's why I do it. And it's probably more technically right to leave more headroom anyways, but that's whole nother debate. But yeah, so another thing to keep in mind is that gain staging doesn't just start at the beginning of the mix. It happens throughout the process. So as you're adding new plugins, you're sending to buses, you're sending to your reverbs, you always got to keep an eye on your input and your output levels. So some plugins are designed to add some coloration when you clip the output of the plugin, so it's actually a good thing to clip it, but in most cases you want to stay away from the clipping. So I'm going to show you 3 ways you can use any one. Usually if you get files, like if I get files and I import them into Pro Tools, I would just kind of listen to it, go through it, and then sort of see my levels, and then see if I'm going to have to bring things up or if I have to bring things down. So we can do that right now.
Let me hear your pain. Love wasn't good to you. I gotta show you that there's better out there. I know a place above. I wanna take you so you can take.
There's some pluses and some minuses here. The good thing is that nothing's clipping, so that's a bonus. I guess the bad thing is that there's a lot of levels that are, really low. So I'd want to probably bring those up. So what you could use is, some of them are okay. Actually, some of the kicks I think we're peaking at like a -18. So yeah, I might just leave those. I might not add anything there. But the stuff that's quiet, let's play that again to see which stuff.
Let me hear your pain.
So for instance, this fast hat, you can take this trim plugin, turn it to +12.
Let me hear your pain. Love wasn't good to you.
So of course it's annoyingly loud now in the mix, but you just adjust for that, right? Or you can just fade that down to bring it all the way back down to infinity. But yeah, and if it's too low, like right here at the top of the green, that's about -18 dBFS. So if you want, you can use that as your sort of gauge to kind of get it to peak around there. If you want to do it a little bit hotter, depending on your style, then you can do that. But let's just say this plugin wasn't enough. +12 wasn't enough. All you really got to do is just add another one. And now you have more room to play with. So let's play that again.
Let me hear your pain.
So let's just say it wasn't loud enough for us. So let's say we want to get it peaking between -10 and -6.
Let me hear your pain. Love wasn't good to you. I gotta show you that there's better out there.
So that's all you'd have to do. Pretty simple. So the thing that I prefer to use over the trim plugin is the clip gain, because a lot of times when you get things that come in that are fairly quiet and you're scanning through the track, you can't see them. You can see some of the drum parts, but then other parts get lost. So you're kind of confused as to what's where and what starts where and what finishes where. So what I like to do is you can open it up and then boom, you can kind of start to see it going here. So what I do is just take this little, looks like a little fader down here, and then push it up, clip gain, and then now you can visually see it, and you're kind of gain staging, so you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So in order to get our levels though, and we want to peak, so say we want to peak here at -18, we just play this and just make sure we're peaking.
So take my hand, don't be scared, give me your heart, I'll take good care.
So it doesn't have to be exact, but as long as you're in the zone. And then I would kind of just go through all the quiet parts and do that just to make sure they're up to par, up to level, so I can see them. And then I might, start whittling stuff away, stuff that I don't need, like deleting this stuff here. And that's another way to help me visually see what's what and where it starts and stuff. But yeah, that's it. So Another thing, so for instance, let's bring all these down to 0 or close to it. Like let's say you get stuff and it's kind of chopped up like that, and you know that you want to gain stage it, instead of just editing it each one and then trying to get the level, add the next one. You know what, let's just set all these to 0, make it even. What you can do is you can just consolidate this, or this is what I would do anyways, and now you get 1. So now what you can do, once it's back to one whole piece, just get your gain staging, and then you can go back to chopping it up the way that it was before. I mean, I know I'm kind of butchering it here, but whatever, you get the point. So yeah, so that's your second option. Or the third option, which I like to use, again, we'll go back and look at our levels. So all these ones are kind of peaking at -18. Some of them are a little bit lower, some a little bit higher. So for instance, this snare is a little bit higher. So let's just say -18 is my goal. That's what I want. I would take the Satsing channel here, use this gain knob. I mean, I know I'm splitting hairs here because, it's not really close to peaking, but I'm just showing you one example. Let's go to one that's a little bit loud. You know what? Let's take this one here. This one's kind of quiet, so let's increase the volume. So that's pretty close. I mean, same thing. I probably wouldn't use 2 Satsins on this channel, but if it is too quiet, you can get a trim knob and then trim before you go into the Satin. The thing with drums is that you'll be peaking at -18, but your view meter's not really doing anything. So I kind of treat the drums a little bit differently. Sometimes I'll hit them a little bit harder, so they're peaking at -6 or whatever. But when it comes to your instruments, you'll see you get a lot better average level out of the Satsing. So let's take this main synth here. I gotta show you that there's better out there. I know a place above, I wanna take you. And you can see it's averaging around 0, which is sort of around this -18 mark. So if you're really anal about your peak volume, you want everything to peak around -18, then you can sort of aim for that green line there, and you can use the Satsing to get that. Or, let's just say, for example, let's turn this all the way up. And let's just say, for example, we wanted this to peak at 0 because we wanted this to match everything else. We'll see what happens once we get it up to 0 view. I gotta show you that there's better out there. I know a place above, I want. So you can see how close it's getting to actual 0 dBs. It's because of that quick transient. There's not enough information there for it to get an average volume. So yeah, you just have to kind of keep in mind that if you want your everything to be at 0, you just have to be aware that some of the more percussive sounds are going to be peaking a lot higher. So it's really up to you. And plus, this plugin really starts to kind of add those harmonics once you get closer to the 0. So yeah, you really have to decide what you want to do in that aspect. I'm showing you very technically here what I do, but it's not this technical as I'm doing it. I'm just looking for averages. I'm just trying to get all my volumes up to a level where I can work with them, but I'm definitely not a Nazi when it comes to peaks. If my drums are peaking at -6 and they sound good, I leave them at -6. I don't start pedaling things away just because I need it to be peaking at -18, let's just say. So yeah, anyways, that's just to get started, for you to get comfortable, and then from there you can sort of go into the process of mixing and focus and worry about the sound and not so much about the technical levels. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.